Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's URC Round 18 review, the final game weekend of group stage games, and 8 teams have officially finished their URC campaigns, and the playoffs have been finalized, as well as the times actually also have been finalized. So we're going to go talk about that as well. And it was a pretty good weekend for the South African side until the biggest stuff up, that is the Sharks result against Munster, which means that at this stage, unless they were to go on to win the URC, would not be playing in the Champions Cup next season. But before we look at some of the results, go through it and sort of what the ramifications were, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. It all started on Friday evening when Spirited Benetton side, who went through a lot of rotation, were eventually put away by the Stormers, 38 points to 22. And I thought credit to Benetton, who actually, as I said, made a lot of changes and still were quite competitive for a lot of the game. And the Stormers, I think, a little bit worried, to be honest, in terms of the momentum or the lack of momentum that I think they feel they will sort of bring into the playoffs. Didn't rock up in that Champions Cup quarterfinal. Were pretty ordinary against Munster and were not at their best against Benetton. So, yeah, and it's difficult to sort of center in on exactly what the issue is there. But I think that they'll be a little bit nervous going into that quarterfinal against the Bulls, knowing that they haven't played their best rugby in the last sort of month. Ulster then doing the job against Edinburgh, 28 points to 14. All they needed to do was a win to secure that second place, and they did just that. On Saturday, Lions versus Zebra played out a little bit like a preseason game, and in the end, Lions running in 50 points to 35. Far too many easy tries being conceded, but with absolutely nothing on the line for both teams, it kind of played like that. So Lions, interestingly enough, finished 9th place. They've actually improved on their points as well as their positioning from last season. I think they got 5 more points or 6 more points than they did last season, and up in 9th. And so the annoying thing is had they actually beaten Leinster last weekend, they would have actually been in the playoffs. They would have finished above the Sharks. So I suppose the only sort of for them the solace is the fact that they finished 3 points behind the Sharks, despite the lack of resources they have. For Zebra, though, it was 18 matches and 18 defeats, so not a great season for them. We then saw an absolute demolition of Leinster by Bulls. It's actually a record defeat for Leinster. It's the largest margin they've ever lost by. And yes, as I said, you could brush under the carpet. You can talk about being a young side. You can talk about being, all their stars not being there. Of course you can. But at the end of the day, the Bulls still played exceptionally well. And I think that they'll actually move into the playoffs with a little bit of confidence, momentum on the back of 2 very big victories. And yes, as I said, you can only play. They're not the strongest teams that they played against, Zebra, and then a very weakened Leinster side. But you can only play what's in front of you. And as I said, confidence is key going into playoff games, and they'll definitely have more confidence than they did a couple of months ago. So I don't think they're terribly placed actually going into the URC. First game of Judgment Day saw Dragons beating the Scarlets 31 points to 14. Dragons finishing 15, Scarlets 14. So the 2 worst Welsh teams in the competition. And then a massive stuff up. The Sharks throwing away, I think, what was it, a 1.19 point lead, and drawing to Munster. And I was raised to very interesting in the Super Sport show that they spoke about the fact that one of the Munster tries should not have been awarded, but to be brutally honest, this has been coming from the Sharks, and it's been at risk for them for a long time. And to throw away the lead that they did have, you kind of feel that they kind of deserve it. At the end of the day, they can only blame themselves for what has transpired and why they haven't been able to get over the line and get themselves into that Champions Cup spot. And they're now going to have to do everything. They're going to have to go and beat Leinster away and win the next 3 URC games. Try and win the URC, otherwise they will not be playing the Champions Cup next season. Cardiff then guaranteeing their spot in the Champions Cup with a 38 points, 21 victory over Ospreys before the final game of the weekend saw Glasgow Warriors beating Connacht, which was what the Sharks needed for to happen. Yeah, at the end that didn't really matter because of their loss there. So in terms of the playoffs, and we do have confirmed date and time. On Friday the 5th of May, it'll be Ulster versus Connacht. They'll be at the Kingspan Stadium. Then the first quarterfinal on the Saturday starts at 3:30. The big Stormers versus Bulls game. Immediately after that, Leinster taking on the Sharks before Glasgow and Munster will finish things off for the weekend at 8:30 on Saturday the 6th of May. So a bit of a week break here. Champions Cup does wait for the likes of Leinster and Glasgow Warriors in the Challenge Cup semi-finals this coming weekend. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on how those teams do as they look to try and build their own momentum. Then there'll be another immediately. There will be a 13th on the 13th of May. Will be the 2 semi-finals. The grand final is scheduled for the 27th of May. So yeah, there's still over a month until the URC will conclude, because there is also Champions and Challenge Cup being thrown into the mix. So yeah, let me know what you thought about the weekend results and the entire, I suppose, sort of URC campaign. You know, which teams were the big losers, which teams were the big winners, and what do we make of our South African team's performances? Let me know down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.